Oh, yeah. It's coming down to the trenches. I went over to enemy lines to see what some of the KC beat writers were talking about when it comes to matchups in the trenches. And let me tell you something. More disrespect coming towards the Philadelphia Eagles way, and we have a lot to talk about here and a little bit on Kellen Moore that's interesting. So let's get straight into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope you're having a fantastic day today. This video is sponsored by BetUS. Go check them out if you guys have not. So obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl 59. It is Super Bowl week, and things are going to start to heat up this week. But I decided to go over to enemy lines a little bit and kind of check out some of the things that were said about, what the KC beat writers are saying about the Eagles' defensive line, the matchups in general within the interior. And let me tell you, other than Jalen Carter being talked about, there really has been a lot of disrespect coming towards this defensive line. That Nolan Smith is a speed rusher and Joe Tooney can only get beat by a power rusher, and I think they'll be able to handle the edge rushers really well. And I think they're underestimating the edge rushers in Josh Sweat, and obviously having Nolan Smith just having a fantastic year in year two, with Brandon Graham coming back on the backside rotation is going to be really interesting too. So I think there's a lot of disrespect there. Obviously, Joe Tooney was with the Patriots for a while, was a right guard was actually I think a left guard with the Chiefs, and then moved to I think it was like left tackle or something like that. So he kind of pulled out there. Kind of the two that I think are going to be big ones to watch is going to be Mike Caliendo and Trey Smith at both of those guard spots. Okay, Mike Caliendo is probably the weakest link on this defensive line. As of right now, the last 4 games for Mike Caliendo, okay, he's allowed 13 pressures, 6 hurries, okay, he's ranked, I think his PFF grade is 38.0, which I don't even care about that, but he's ranked at least the second worst graded guard over a whole season for the Chiefs. Okay. So I think that's going to be really a big matchup, and another big one for them. I think another big one is going to be Trey Smith on the other side. They're going to be running stunts and things like that. And Trey Smith, I think a 6th, 7th round pick for the Chiefs is going to get paid next year a lot of money. Probably going to get a big contract. So everyone is kind of waiting for that Jalen Carter, Trey Smith matchup as well on the defensive line. So realistically, I can't believe some of this stuff that I'm reading. It seems like the Eagles are just getting no credit on their defensive line. They're not getting any type of praise at all. They think that the edge rushers will be taken care of, that these tackles are going to have breakout games, shut down the edge rushers, where they could probably double Jalen Carter, because that's what they're probably going to do. And yes, it's very important for these edge rushers to produce in this game. If Brandon Graham can come in this game on the backside rotation and at least put in like 10, 15% in this game, that's really all we want, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Hopefully Jalix Hunt could do something. Bryce Huff, we'll see like what the rotation is going to look like. I don't know. I think Fangio will see like who's, as the game is going on, especially with some of the deep rotation, who's producing, who's not, and who he's really going to keep out there. Bryce Huff had a couple pressures last game and didn't look horrible, but he hasn't really been getting the reps, and he's not in that boot anymore or that cast anymore, on his, I think his left hand or whatever it is on his left wrist, because he couldn't grab people with both hands. So maybe he will play better, but it's going to take everybody. If you're in there in the rotation, you get a shot. You got to, look, the more success the edge rushers have, the more success these DTs are going to have, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So Jalen Carter, I think, could have another massive game going into the Super Bowl 59. And, I don't think, I think a lot of calls will be against us. I think things are going to happen this game we're not going to like. And, the Eagles got to try to play as clean as possible, but they're going to play violent. You know what I mean? And that's what I want them to do. It is what it is. It's football at the end of the day. They're not going to soften up for this team. Defensively, they're not going to soften up just because they're afraid of getting penalties or anything like that. But it's probably going to happen. Okay, so we just got to wait and see. But I think those are really the big matchups. I think, I think there's I think they're really downgrading our edge rushers right now. And obviously, since the beginning of the season, that was really our biggest weakness from the beginning, and then kind of as the season went on, the defense gelled. We got players back into this defense and it gelled even more. And, look what happened. So, I think you're going to have some good matchups on the line. I think Casey is kind of denying the credit towards the Eagles when it comes to the edge rushers, like I said, and we'll see what happens going forward. But trenches is what I'm looking for right here. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is Kellen Moore. Okay. Now, there's a report that came out, and I'll read it right here. It says people within the Eagles organization are already bracing the loss of OC Kellen Moore to the Saints head coaching position, per Jay Fowler at ESPN. Moore is putting together, quote unquote, ideas for staffing, and other candidates from the Saints head coaching job essentially been put on ice. It's further known that Moore wants to get through the Super Bowl game plan before making any determination. Yeah, I mean this is a problem, bro. This is like one of those issues. Like I can't see Moore is like I need to focus. Like the Saints are probably up his ass. Like, oh, what do you want to do? How we do? If the job is going through, okay. Like this is what I'm saying, dude. Like this guy is trying to prepare for the biggest game of his pretty much of his coaching career. Even though if you get an upgraded job as a head coach, like you still got a game to win. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things I just can't stand where, these people are getting jobs in the middle of, I understand he's doing it, probably did it on the bye week, and I understand all of that. But I don't like the interference. I just can't stand it. I'm already kind of preparing myself that Frank Reich will probably be the OC of this team sooner or later because the Eagles will have to look for a new OC. But there was other reports that came out, a couple of them that did come out, that Moore wasn't going to, that there is potentially Moore maybe not be the Saints head coach just because they don't have a set quarterback in that room that Moore likes. And I think some other things, just like in this report, where certain candidates and things of the staff need to change to Moore's liking. And if that doesn't come into fruition with Moore liking the staff that, or maybe having the control to change some of the staff that he wants, and they don't allow him to do that, potentially he could back out of this job. Maybe. There was a couple reports of that, but we'll take everything with a grain of salt as it comes, when we get to, after the Super Bowl and what happens right after, if he is leaving. So I think there's a little bit of hope that he might stay, but there's probably a lot of not really that much hope that, I think he might take this job. It just seems like it's going in that direction. And if the Eagles are preparing for this, then, it is what it is. There'll obviously be some, there's probably 6 or 7 offensive coordinators that they could probably sign to their liking. And I'm already getting prepared that, somebody that they really know well will be here before we know it, because after the Super Bowl, we'll be talking about free agents and things will start to unravel, after the Super Bowl. And hopefully with a win, which I know the Eagles will win this Super Bowl, we'll be ready to go and we'll see what happens. So, I'm not really big on the interference when these coaches have so much to do. Even if it's a bye week, they're still preparing a game plan regardless. For the offense, and you're hoping that you don't go into this game and you look horrible because you couldn't get the best game plan out of Kellen Moore going to this game. But I'm going to be optimistic and say that that's not the case. And Kellen Moore actually denied the Saints from, going further in communication. I got something to do this week. I can't, especially out of respect for a team that's in a Super Bowl, to bother a coordinator that's pretty much saying, back off a little bit. I need some room to breathe a little bit and get a game plan going. And, I have bigger things to fry right now. So that's where I'm kind of at in the situation. So I still feel like it's up in the air. but potentially, I think you might lose him. So we'll see how it goes. But those are the two things I just wanted to talk about today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. And make sure you like the video because it helps out the channel tremendously. We'll have more videos out. Obviously, media days coming up, 3 days straight for these guys being in their press conferences and all that stuff. And things are going to heat up this week. So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys on the next one. Shakes, what up? Follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.